Over the years, I have played a bunch of open world games that have had cool features that would allow you to play a game continuously after beating the main story, and some other games that had some cool concepts that could potentially allow you to do that, but they weren't designed to be in that game specifically, so it was just like a temporary thing, or again, just a really good idea that really wasn't focused on or thought through. And lately I've been coming up with my own ideas based on how these open world games can evolve in the future, because I think everybody's getting tired of the same run-of-the-mill copy-paste open world games. And I've mentioned this before in other videos where, you just get tired of putting 60 to 70 hours in a game and it's just rinse and repeat after the first 10 hours after you beat the gameplay loop. And I've never been one to want to find every treasure or every collectible. I don't do that in most games, only in rare instances when it's a really good game or if it's a world that I love. But before I throw out some ideas, I would just like to say remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more. I got a handful of videos out there now, been working on this channel for a couple of weeks. I'm proud of the sample size that's out there, but I'm gonna keep on working. Also, you can follow me on Twitter and TikTok at analyze_YT. So Bethesda games are an easy example when bringing up games that have some serious potential to extend the lifespan of a game. Preston is always going to have another settlement that needs your help, and the companions, for example, in Skyrim will always have something for you to go do as well. It's interesting because we've had like these auto-generating systems for so long, but it makes you wonder, how can we continue to enhance that in future games? Like, I feel like this is something that hasn't really been focused on, and can we choose one of these factions to be dedicated to post-story and continue to alter the world after the main narrative? In Skyrim and Fallout, we have all these towns and locations, but once you clear them out, that's it. You clear out the bandits, they're gone, it's clear, or, maybe they come back and you're just grinding, killing the bandits or the monsters again. Okay, that gets boring really quickly. But what if you could claim these territories for your favorite faction? Like a little conquest mini game after you beat the game where it's like you're fighting with other groups trying to control all of Skyrim or different pieces of land. I definitely think we could put more meaningful infinite quests in games going forward, especially now that we have technology that allows you to keep coming up with randomly generated terrain and maps and things like that. I wonder if we could do more of that when it comes to content. So later on, when you go talk to your friends, you could be like, hey, so what have you been working on? Or what faction did you pick? Or did you decide to take over this town? Or did you kill the enemy faction's general or something? Things like that. The gameplay near the end of Red Dead Redemption 1 sparked an interesting idea for a post-story game. Near the end of the game, you get to return home to your family's ranch, and there's a few missions where you help run the ranch. You reconnect with your wife and your son, you do errands and things like that, and it just seems like it's going to be a nice, calm way to end the game, of course, before the emotional conclusion. But I think something like taking care of a ranch or a town or a business would be a cool end-of-game minigame that keeps you playing, keeps you involved in that world, exploring the open world. Maybe you go back and revisit towns and do other things, or it just gives you the motivation to want to keep playing the game even when you're done with the main stuff. Maybe some characters and quests are auto-generated like in Bethesda games, but being able to keep making money for your ranch or keeping the town safe as a sheriff would be a great way to keep people playing. And Rockstar has done a great job with Red Dead Online and GTA Online, where you basically have careers now in those multiplayer games. In Red Dead Online, you could become a bounty hunter, a trader, a moonshiner. In GTA Online, they've created so much stuff over the years and different career paths. You could be an executive, a nightclub owner, a biker, or a gun runner, for example. Why can't we have more stuff like this in the single-player part of these games? I would assume it's less complicated in a single-player world because you could set it up to auto-generate and not have to totally tend to it like a live service like what a lot of games do today. I don't know much about game development, so I know a lot of what I'm talking about is probably wishful thinking. And I say this because I wonder why we don't have more games that feature procedurally generated worlds and content. Like, why don't we have more games like Minecraft, where each world is created differently? So my experience is different from my buddies, and your experience is different from your buddies. And they could share their unique worlds and stories with each other, and that would be great YouTube content to make too, or go watch other people and just see, well, what did they do in their game? What did they do in their story? I just don't want the world to look different, with different terrain, snow, mountains, things like that. What if my world has different towns and forts and characters and factions compared to yours? I feel like there's some small-time developers out there that want to make games where you have the freedom to do whatever you want. Like taking RPGs to the very extreme where it's like, in this game, we built a world where you could be a cop, or you could be a business owner, or you could be a fireman, or you could be a taxi driver or whatever, and then of course you do other things. Maybe you fall in the line of crime or something. These are all small-time developers, and like when I go and watch Big Fry TV's content, a lot of he doesn't do it as much anymore, but his early days of content was playing games like that you could typically find on Steam. But again, small-time developers don't have all the resources and the time and the money and the management to be able to do that type of dream, and most of the time those games fall short. So really, I think it would be nice to see some more AAA developers like Bethesda and Rockstar try their hand at this, and just see what they could do since they have the manpower and the resources. The Nemesis feature is another cool feature that was created by Monolith Productions, which was implemented in their games Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor and Shadow of War. Now, I've played both of these games, didn't complete both of them, but I played enough of each to know all about this, and the Nemesis system is very cool. And to define it, it's the idea based around a character-driven story arc where a player's interactions with NPCs are influential on the game narrative itself. For example, the orcs you fight in these games have a hierarchy in their own army. These orcs have different ranks, personalities, abilities, and traits. Fighting these specific orcs are basically like boss battles, and they're different every time. If you kill them, then someone new moves up in their place. Now let's say one orc keeps killing you, well, this guy can continue to move up through the ranks and become one of the top leading guys in the army. And these interactions are cool too, because if the one that keeps killing you, he will continue to taunt you every time you see him, and he even gets stronger. Or if you kill one of them, then the brother or the friend of that orc may seek you out for revenge, or when you see him, he's going to talk shit to you. This stuff continues throughout both of these games. Unfortunately, the company did put a patent out on this system, and I guess I shouldn't say unfortunately, because good for them, they came up with something great. However, maybe developers can try their own take on this and try it out in different games. Because even in the second game, like, you even get to control your own army and build it your way. And when you attack forts and conquer different areas, you know, you're allowed to pick and choose which soldiers and types of siege weapons and things you want to use in the game. So it could be different from conquering this fort to the next fort to the next fort. And I just love that. Now, with all that being said, it makes me wonder if Bethesda's upcoming title Starfield will have any of this. The company is making big promises so far with this game. They claim you could visit 1,000 planets, over 100,000 voice lines were recorded, the procedurally generated quests will return again as well. But my biggest fear is that Starfield is not going to deliver on their promises, because a lot of games are having a hard time with that today. And also, when you're trying to be the biggest, most expansive game out there, not a lot of games are able to come through with that, especially lately. The track record over the last couple of years has not been good. Plus, the early gameplay they showed a year ago, I wasn't too impressed. It was early on still, I guess, but I really hope that game has been polished, and they need to show more for me to be convinced. And again, I can't help but look at Bethesda games like Skyrim and Fallout, and I love those games, but they're way too similar. And honestly, there's just so many possibilities with a space game. You know, it would be cool if you had a role or some kind of side hobby in the game as you're playing whatever the main story is. Maybe you're a gun runner or you're trading supplies and you could go to different planets and drop stuff off. Or maybe you're a pirate and you go attack cargo ships and steal their loot, and then you're able to sell it to, you know, smugglers and things like that. We need to see more from the game, of course, but I really hope this game isn't just going to overhype itself because of having a bunch of procedurally generated quests and over 150,000 voice lines. So thanks for checking out the video. Be sure to leave a like, and feel free to check out the rest of the channel, subscribe for more, and also you can follow me on Twitter and TikTok at analyzethis_YT.